Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of BeingACCA. This is Toshita Gupta, ACCA affiliate, and in this video we are going to be solving Health Nuts Company. The same question is is given in your KAPLAN kit. Also, this is a past year question paper. This is a question from your September-December 2020 exam. Let's get started. So first of all, having a quick look at the requirements, I see that I have to calculate my number of customers to break even as well as the margin of safety as a percentage for the month of June. And there are two parts for gym, for cafe. Separately, I'll have to do this. Explain each of your calculations in part A. Tells Health Nuts about the performance of the gym and the cafe. So for 3 marks, we have to also explain what the calculations mean. Now, with this, let's have a look at the scenario. Health Nuts is a fitness center offering pay-as-you-go gym facilities. It has a fully fitted gym with the capacity to accommodate 200 users at one time. It also has 100 car parking spaces and an on-site cafe, both of which are only for customers that are using the gym. The fitness center has shower facilities for customers, and Health Nuts provides all customers with a clean towel to use on entry. It is open 360 days a year, 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. Customers pay $8.4 for access to the gym for 1 hour plus unlimited time in the cafe. If customers want to use the car park, they have to pay an additional $1 per visit, and 80% of the visiting customers use the car parking also. Now, Health Nuts has been monitoring the number of customers attending throughout each day for the month of June, which was considered to be an average month, and for which Health Nuts was open for 30 days. It has determined that the average number of customers per day is 330, with 40 of these customers attending during the duration of 9 to 5 p.m. Now, the total costs of the fitness center for the month of June are given to us, excluding the cafe. So these are the fixed costs and these are the variable costs that are per customer. So on average, half of the customers also use the cafe in June, with an average spend per customer of $2.2. Of the spend, 60% related to drinks, which have a profit margin of 60%, and the remainder related to food items, which have a profit margin of 40%. Now, the specific fixed costs associated with running the cafe are $3,600 for the month. So then we have some proposal for this calculation in part A and B. I do not need to read about this proposal. So let me get started. So with regards to part A, I have to find out number of customers to break even and the margin of safety as a percentage. So I can write over here that this is my answer for part A and this is I part of part A. Now the first part is the gym. So the gym. Now first of all, let's find out the break even, which is the number of customers. We have to find it in the terms of number of customers. So for break even point, what information do we need? First of all, we come to the contribution. Now, how can we find out the contribution? First of all, okay. So for contribution, I will show my workings over here in this cell. First of all, my customers are paying $8.4 to gain access to the gym. Then I will take the expected value of my car parking. So for car parking, $1 is extra that they have to pay, and 80% of the customers are using that. So the expected value of the car park becomes 80% of $1, right? And then I will now this is my total that I'm going to earn from them. Now, what are my variable costs? My variable cost per customer is given as $1.2. So now I have my contribution of $8 per customer. So I can mention this over here also, contribution per customer, right? Now, with this, I move on to my fixed costs, because for break even, we need to divide the fixed costs with the contribution. So my fixed costs are also given to me straight away as $48,000. Right over here, I can highlight this as well. 48,000 is the portion of fixed cost that is given to me over here. Now I can simply find out my break even. So my break even point is nothing but 48,000 divided by 8. and this is my number of customers that I need to have. This is my break even in terms of number of customers for the gym. So customers. Now let's move on to our margin of safety, because the requirement does have two parts. First of all, we have the break even and then the margin of safety. My apologies. Then moving on to margin of safety now. Margin of safety. So how do we calculate that? First of all, let's see, here we are seeing that how much we are selling as compared to how much we should be selling. So it is mentioned over here that we are, roughly having 330 customers on an average. Where did that point go? All right, 30 days. Okay. Yes, so the number of customers per day is 330. So what I can do over here is I can first mention this point over here, that my average number of customers per day, is 330. And then for the month of June, there are given 30 days. So in the month of June, 30 days was the number of days that it was open. So number of days is 30. Now I will find out my total customers. So my total customers in the month of June were nothing but the product of these two, per day multiplied by the number of days. So 30 multiplied by 330. So this was my total number of customers. Now my break even was 630 and I actually had 9900. So the difference between them divided by how much was the total will give me my margin of safety. So I can say that my margin of safety is the difference, first of all, 9900 minus 6000, and I will divide this with 9900 to find out what is my margin of safety. So this comes out to be 39.39%. I can format this as percentage. Now I am done with part A. I have gotten 3 marks now. Now let's move on to part 2, which is the same calculation for the cafe. If I want, I can show this calculation here only, right? So this is about the cafe. So with regards to the cafe, let's first find out the contribution. So break even, and then let's also copy paste this over here. So yeah, I have my break even. So for my calculation of break even, first of all, let's find out the contribution. So for contribution for the cafe, we did have some information. The average spend is $2.2, and out of the spend, 60% is for drinks, on which we have a margin of 60%. And for food, again, we have a profit margin of 40%. So 40% of $2.2 is spent on your drinks and on on your food, and on food we have a profit margin of 40%. So I can say that my contribution that I'm going to be earning is, first of all, 2.2 multiplied by 60%, because 60% is the spend on the drinks, and then 60% is the profit margin that I have on the drinks. And then additionally, out of this 2.2, 40% is my food items, and on that also I have a margin of 40%. So with this, I arrive at my contribution per customer that I am earning. Now again, I will have my fixed costs and my break-even point. So I'm just copy pasting the format from here. This will save us time in the exam. So fixed costs with regard to the cafe are given to us as $3,600 right over here, right? And then for the break even, I'm going to use the same formula like I did earlier, 3600 divided by 1.144, and this gives me the break even units. I can round this off so that I have entire units as my answer. So this is the number of units, or you can say number of customers, right? And then we go on to the margin of safety. So with regards to margin of safety, let's find out how much were our total customers. So on average, half of the customers use the cafe. So we found out that the total number of customers were in the month of June were 9900. So my customers total were 9900 divided by 2 because that is half. So 4950 customers were over there and I need 3147. So my margin of safety becomes similarly how I calculated in the last part. So the difference between these two, 4950 minus 3147, and I will divide this with 4950, which is our original customers that visited us. And if I convert this to percentage, I will have my margin of safety as 36.43%. Now I am done with part A completely. Now let's go to part B. Even though the part B requires you to explain these calculations, so a word processor ideally should have been given over here. However, they have not provided space for a word processor right here, so I'm just going to put my answer for part B also here itself. So with regards to part B, what we can explain our calculations as, we can explain this by saying that we need 6,000 customers in the gym per month, and in the cafe we need 314,000 customers per month. So to be able to cover our fixed costs, because break even tells you what? Break even tells you how many number of units you have to sell. That means how many customers you need to have to be able to fulfill your fixed costs at least, so that you reach a situation of no profit, no loss. Now, every dollar that you earn after the break even point will give you a profit, right? Because at break even you have covered your fixed costs. Now every dollar of contribution that you will earn, that means when you have subtracted your variable cost from your selling price, every dollar of contribution will give you a profit. Now whether or not these figures are particularly high can be estimated by comparing them to the expected customers in 1 month, and this is where the margin of safety is useful. Now we see that the margin of safety in both the cases for the gym and the cafe is roughly higher than 35% in both cases. So this will tell you that it is very highly likely that Health Nuts company will be able to recover its fixed costs and will also make a profit. Now the margin of safety is such that even if the customers, the number of customers goes down by 1/3, so 1/3 is 33%, right? So we still have a margin of safety of 36 and 39. That means even if we lose 1/3 of our customers, still we will be able to cover our fixed costs. So this is how you will answer part B, and this is relatively a shorter requirement only, just for 3 marks. So if you explain this much of information, you will be able to secure these 3 marks. Now I will move on to the next part. Now let's see, for this C part, we are required to calculate the budgeted total weighted average contribution to sales ratio and the budgeted profit per month for Health Nuts if it closes the cafe and opens a Crèche instead. So we have a Crèche proposal that we did not read. Now this pertains to part C, so I'm going to read this now. So with regards to information about this, after reviewing all of the above information, the manager of Health Nuts has put together a proposal to close the cafe at the fitness center and convert it into a creche for children. This would mean that parents could leave their children in the creche whilst they use the fitness center between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. only. So this only has also been highlighted by the examiner, meaning that only those customers, we were written over here that 40 of the customers come between 9 to 5. So only these people will be able to use this creche. The charge for the creche would be $4 per child and per hour. So now we can move on to calculations. Let's read the last paragraph also. Initial research suggests that customers have an average of 2 children each. The creche is expected to attract new customers and increase the average number of customers between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. by 300%. So that is a very substantial increase. Only these new customers will use the creche facilities. Car park usage is expected to continue to be 80%. The fixed costs associated with running the creche are estimated to be 8,000 per month, and we also have the variable cost of $0.5 per child for every hour. So now this is our answer to part C. And with regards to this, we have to calculate the budgeted total weighted average CS ratio and the budgeted profit if the cafe is closed and a creche is opened. So first of all, let's work out our calculations for gym. So for the gym, the customers that we were previously having, original number of customers. So this was 330, right? If you remember from the previous part, we had found out that the original customers were 330. You can see this over here also. Yes, so this is 330. I'm writing this 330 over here. Then it is mentioned in the last paragraph that the creche is expected to attract new customers and increase the average number of customers by 300%. So the average number of customers during this time was 40. So this will increase by 300%. So 40 multiplied by 300%. So this gives you 120. This is your new customers. So now your total customers has increased and it is the sum of these two. So now in total you will be having 450 customers every day. So total customers per day, right? So these are your per day customers. Now, how many number of days do you have in this month? You have 30. So we have taken that on an average that Health Nuts was open for 30 days. So number of days is 30. And with this, if I want to find out my total customers per month, total customers per month. So this becomes the product of 450 and 30. So with this, I have my total number of customers for the month. Now I can find out my sales and then from my contribution can be worked out. So my sales is nothing but how much I am charging from them. So first of all, if you remember, this was 9.2 that we had calculated. So this was 8.4 plus 0.8 or 80% of $1 because it is mentioned that this is going to remain same about the car parking, and this is our number of customers. So with this, I have my sales revenue from the gym. I can format this to currency so that it looks neater. So this is my sales, and then my contribution is going to be I can say that this is going to be my total sales, and then I can find out my total contribution. So my total contribution is do my variable cost change? No, variable cost is 1.2 only. So this was 8.4 plus 80% into $1, and then I subtract 1.2, which is the variable cost. So I have 8 as my contribution. So $8 was my contribution, and I multiply this by my number of customers in the month. So just putting brackets so that there is no wrong figure because of these brackets. So again, I use this format for this, and I have my contribution. Now this will come in handy for calculating the CS ratio. Now I have worked out the scenario for the gym. Now I will have a look at the creche. So from creche, let's work out the same things only. So the total customers per day is given to us. It is mentioned that this would mean that the parents would leave. Okay, so only these new customers will use the creche facilities. So how much were my new customers? 120. So these are my customers per day. Customers per day, right? I can expand this a little bit. Right. So I have my customers per day now. Then I will multiply again similarly with the number of days. So I am just copy pasting this over here, and total customers per month also can be copy pasted. I can simply multiply 30 with 120, and this is my total number of customers for the month. So how many children will we be having per month? So it is mentioned over here that initial research suggests that customers have an average of 2 children each. So that means the children that I'm going to be handling over here, this will be multiplied by 2, because 3600 is the number of customers and every customer will bring 2 children. So I will have total number of children per month. So this is my children per month, which comes out to be 7200. Now I can finally find out my sales. So my total sales, how much is the selling price that we are aiming at? It is mentioned that the charge will be $4 per child per hour. So if I just multiply 7200 with 4, I will have my total sales from the creche. Now similarly, I can find out my contribution. So 4 is the charge and then 0.5 is the variable cost. So my contribution will be nothing but 4 minus 0.5 and multiply this with the number of children. So with this, I have my contribution as well. So now I can total them up or I can divide them separately also. So this is my total contribution. Now I do have my contribution from gym and creche and also my sales from gym and creche. Now how can I find out the total, the weighted average contribution to sales ratio? So first of all, I'm going to add the sales. So total sales is 124 plus 28,800, and then I have my contribution. So total contribution is this plus this figure over here. So if I just find out my CS ratio, this will be my weighted average. Why? Because already the number of units have been multiplied over here. We found out the sales and contribution by multiplying the number of customers, right? So we have already weighted average this figure already. So CS ratio will be contribution divided this by the sales, and with this we have our weighted average CS ratio. I can just convert this to percentage. So now I have only found out my first part of the requirement, which was the budgeted CS ratio. Now I am left with another part of the requirement, which is the budgeted profit per month. So now let's work out our profit. So first of all, let's write over here that this is our budgeted profit per month. So first of all, we have our contribution. The contribution we have just summed up over here. This is our total contribution. And now we can subtract our fixed costs. So less fixed costs. And for the gym, my fixed costs were given as 48,000. And for the creche, I had fixed costs of $8,000. So I do have my fixed costs also. I can simply subtract these fixed costs from my contribution to obtain my profit. So 77,200 comes to be my budgeted profit per month. Budgeted profit per month. So with this, we have come to an end to requirement number C. I can bold this up and again I can bold this up so that the examiner knows that this is my final answer. I can also put these figures into, tables. I can simply go to format, cells, go to border, select any one out of this, click on all of these and click on OK. So this will be applied. So again, as you can see, this has made my calculations look a little bit neater. Again, I can format all of these to currency so that they all appear in dollars. Yeah. So similarly, a table can be made here also. Now I am moving to the next part, just putting the right. So this is how you can beautify your answers also. Now let's move on to the next part. The next part is advise health nuts considering both financial and non-financial factors, whether it should replace the cafe with a creche and whether the calculations in part C provide enough information to make such a decision. Now, we have to advise them. We have to consider both factors, financial and non-financial. And the advice is regarding whether they should replace the cafe with the creche or not. And we have to also tell that is the information in part C, the calculations in part C, enough. So first of all, we have we found out our contribution for in the first case when we did have 9900 customers, and then we also had cafe sales. So first of all, we will compare the profit in both the scenarios. So we have a profit in part C we had calculated. Okay, let us go back to part C first. So in part C, we found out our budgeted profit per month to be 77,200. Now in this part where we have to draw a comparison, so for financial comparison, what we will have to do is we'll have to find out how much the profit will be if we are not closing the cafe. So if the cafe still remains, how much will be our profit? So total contribution from gym. So if you remember from this first part, we had 9900 customers, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So 9900 customers, and for cafe, we had 3147 customers. Right. No, 3147 was our break even. We had 4950 customers. So this is the customers that we are going to be earning the contribution from. So let's go back to our question. So but total contribution from gym becomes $8, which was the contribution, multiplied by 9900 units. So if you solve this, you will get $79,200. Now I will find out my contribution from cafe. So from the cafe, we saw 4950 units, and the contribution was 1.144. So if I just solve this, I will get 5663. So this is my contribution, and how much is going to be my fixed cost? Less fixed costs. So fixed cost, first of all, for the gym was 48,000. And then for the cafe it was mentioned 3600. So 3600 will also be subtracted. So with this I will have my budgeted profit. And if I calculate these, what I have written over here, if I carry out these calculations, I will get my answer as 33,263. So we are done with the financial aspect now. So with regards to the financial aspect, if we open the creche, we had a profit of 77,200. And if we, go not for opening the creche and letting the cafe remain, our profit will be very less than 77,200. This is 33,263. So if we are only looking at the financial aspect, we should go for the creche. So we'll write over here, from the financial point of view, the business will benefit if, or we can say Health Nuts will benefit, because it is always better to use the name of the company. Health Nuts will benefit if it opens a creche instead of the, in place of the cafe. So in place of the cafe. And we can say that we are comparing 77,200 with 33,263. So we can say from the financial point of view, we will benefit if we are going to open a creche. But since the question wants us to consider non-financial aspect also, so we will give the answer accordingly. So with regards to the non-financial, what are the things that they can consider? Let's have a look. So with regards to non-financial, they first have to see the details of how much the conversion from the cafe to the creche will cost, because there will be money that will go into changing all the machinery, or maybe all the seating arrangements that you had for the cafe, because creche will require completely different equipment. So first of all, another thing, although this is slightly financial, so another thing that you can mention over here is, first of all, the conversion costs. Conversion costs. from the cafe to the crèche. Now, what all other things can they consider? So the research that they have performed, it is mentioned that this is initial research. So this research is only initial. So we have to see whether the initial research can be relied upon or not. Can be relied upon or not. So maybe this information that we have obtained may or may not be true. So we have to first ensure that what we are doing, the information that we are taking this decision on, so that information should be correct. Now, another thing that they can consider, the opening of the crèche could put off other customers who want to exercise in a child-free environment. So this may put off some customers. So why? Because there are some people who may prefer that there are no children around them while they are working out. So they might, be annoyed if we are opening such a crèche. Now, another thing that we have to consider is closing the cafe can also upset people, because maybe, they liked first working out and then going to the cafe, just hanging out with their friends. So cafe closure can also could annoy customers, and maybe they would stop coming to the gym also and they go somewhere else. So we can say the last requirement that was asked, that is the information provided enough to make such a decision. So we will say no, this information provided is insufficient to make this decision. Now, with this, we have come to an end to this question. Please stay tuned for the next one. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching.